Tech Garage, presented by RockAuto.com, is brought to you by Clamp Tight, the clamp making tool. And by RockAuto.com, all the parts your car will ever need.
Well, welcome back to Tech Garage, presented by RockAuto.com. Well, Dave told you we were going to show you what an intake and exhaust system does, and we are going to do just that with the coolest demos in the planet. Let's start out with an engine. What is an engine and why do we have them? Well, it's a giant air pump, really. That's what it is, and I can show it to you in action. Coming down here is the first stroke. The piston's on its way down and the intake valve opens. You can see the camshaft up here running them. As it opens, well, what's happening? You're creating a vacuum and you're actually sucking the air into the cylinder. That's what the intake's in there for. Now we come up, we compress it, and then bang, the spark hits and we go down. Now this stroke is the last stroke. It's coming up. This is the exhaust stroke. That's why we need a good exhaust system. We come up, we have to push and exhaust all that. So once again, you got the intake coming up, squeezing, compression, bang, spark fires, that's the power stroke, and then there's our exhaust coming out. Now, intake and exhaust play a critical role. A lot of people don't realize. Good set of headers, and you can see it here with this animation. You have pulses at the end, and they all reach at the same time, and that creates a vacuum, actually taking some of that exhaust out of the cylinder and helping out. Now, I can show you some good exhaust, some bad exhaust, some good intake, and some bad intake systems. We'll start right here with the factory intake system. You see all these bumps right here? Well, that's not a good thing. That's going to cause restriction. You're sitting there in the engine compartment, you're creating heat. That's not as good as cold air, so that's a problem. So what do we want to do? Well, we want to get this tune port where it's nice and smooth, and or you just put a cold air intake system on. Look at the difference between these two right here. You can actually see that. This one's small, that one's big. It's going to make a lot of flow, and you actually have the nice flow right here that you don't have any ridges or anything. The bend's smooth, you're going to get it in, and also you have a high flow air filter. So you can even have intake systems, and this is pretty cool animation. You can see where it actually switches, and when it switches, it's actually going from long runners to short runners. Well, what's that all about? Well, it's like a human. When an engine's running really, really hard, you want to take a deep breath. If I'm idling, well, not so much. So that's pretty cool. Let's switch gears and talk a little bit about exhaust systems. Now, exhaust systems, once again, you can see here an old exhaust system versus the new. Big difference in diameter. We want to get it out. We're getting it in, we want to get it out. So here's the deal. If you have a factory system like this, well, you look inside of there, and bam, you got all these chambers and paths. It's going to be quiet, but the problem is you're just not going to get the airflow you need to get out of the system. So what do? Well, you get a high flow exhaust system like this one here. You get the big pipe, and then if you look inside of here, this is all the baffle material. Let's trash that so you can see what's going on. Man, look at that confetti. We don't need that. Boom, straight through. You're going through that. You're getting the exhaust out of the car. Now you can go as far as even having one of these cherry bombs. We got this at RockAuto.com, and boy, if you look through that joker right there, wow, I can actually see clean through it with just a little bit of material on the outside. That's going to let it flow out. And it's important to get the exhaust out. You can look at this animation right here. You may even have a dual path exhaust. That's pretty wild. Think about it. The air's coming in and it's going out. It has to go through multiple chambers. And cars are computerized today, so when it goes faster and you want to get the exhaust out, or perhaps you want more power, then it's going to switch those chambers. And when it switches those chambers, you can see it's actually going through another path and it's getting out. You also have those cars today, you can push that button and you can actually switch those chambers just for the sound, so it sounds really good. So remember, an engine's nothing more than a big air pump. We got to get it in. That's our intake system. Once we get it in, we want cold air. Cold air is more dense. I can get it in there. Once I get it in there, that volumetric efficiency is going to fill that cylinder. Bang, more air, more fuel, a bigger bang. Then what? I have to get it out. Why? That next stroke's coming around. I want a free-flowing exhaust system, I want a big exhaust system, and I want to be able to flow it through the exhaust system. So that's key when it comes to actually intakes and exhaust. Speaking of that, let's see how Dave's coming along with the bike's intake and exhaust.
Just like you said, John, here with the bike, we're going to put more air out with the exhaust system. That means we need to get more air in, so a new air cleaner is in order here. Now we've done most of the work here. The first thing we had to do was remove the old air cleaner cover. One bolt right in the center, and that was easy enough. If you can take out bolts and put bolts back in, you can replace an air cleaner on a bike like this. Second step, remove the air cleaner itself. Only 3 bolts for that. Then we came to the air cleaner housing. We had to remove the bolts there. 3 little ones, 2 big ones, and of course, they're all different sizes, so we had to have a different bit for each one of them, but we had them all. Installing the new Reinhardt Racing air cleaner housing was really easy. The thing looks great, by the way. 5 bolts to put that back on, and then once we get to the cover, here's where we are. 6 bolts to do that. We want to put thread locker on these ones. This is a medium thread locker. This will enable us to take this back off if we need to. So the blue is the medium, a little bit of goo on there, and we are good to go. And that'll hold it tight there because bikes vibrate a lot. We want to make sure this doesn't shake loose. We've got 1 remaining spot here. And we'll crank this down, and we will be ready to go. When we come back, we've got our Keep It or Crush It segment. We always love doing that. And we're going to fire this bike up, and I bet you, as John promised, we're going to wake up the neighbors. We'll be right back with more Tech Garage presented by RockAuto.com. Don't go anywhere.